There comes a moment in life when everything feels like it's falling apart. You're standing in the middle of the storm, betrayed, misunderstood, broken, and tired. The world is spinning fast, your chest is heavy, and your heart is screaming, why me? But listen, in that moment, the one where you feel most powerless, that is where your greatest strength is born. Not in ease, not in comfort, but in how you respond when life tries to shake the foundation you stand on. Your emotions, they are not your enemy. They are signals, not shackles. Pain, anger, fear. They are loud, but they're not your leaders. You were not created to be a slave to chaos. You were born with power. The power to choose peace, to command stillness, even in the middle of a fire. The storm may rage around you, but it doesn't have to rage within you. This isn't about pretending you're okay. This is about learning to be okay, to rise above the noise, to master the inner battlefield. Because if you can stay calm when everything else is crashing, you've already won. Let's talk about how to make that kind of peace your reality. When life hits you hard, and it will, your first reaction will always try to take control. That flash of anger, that tightening in your chest, the rush of adrenaline. Your body wants to lash out. Your ego wants to speak before your heart has a chance to breathe. But hear me clearly now. The first reaction is a trap. It's a test dressed up as instinct. And in those critical few seconds, when your heart rate spikes and your thoughts start running wild, you've got a choice that could define your character for the rest of your life. Do you react or do you respond? The difference between the two is everything. One is emotion running wild. The other is wisdom taking the wheel. Your power lies in the pause. That moment of silence between what happens to you and what you choose to do about it. You've got to train yourself to own that space. People will try to provoke you. Circumstances will try to corner you. Life will slap you in the face when you least expect it. But the most dangerous thing isn't what's happening out there. It's what's happening in here. The battle is internal. You don't lose control when the world explodes. You lose control when you give away your peace without a fight. You might think the chaos around you is to blame, but no, the true war is in your response. The first reaction is often loud, unfiltered, and full of regret. But if you pause, just for a breath, you give your soul a chance to speak louder than your wounds. That pause isn't weakness, it's power. It's you refusing to let your emotions write your story. It's you stepping back from the cliff and saying, not today. Most people never realize how powerful that pause is. We live in a world that rewards quick responses, instant comebacks, immediate action. But just because something is fast doesn't mean it's wise. Just because it feels good in the moment doesn't mean it's good for you in the long run. Let's be real. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment and wish you could take it back? How many relationships, jobs, or opportunities have been damaged by someone reacting instead of responding? Emotions are real, yes, but they don't have to be in charge. You have the power to decide who sits in the driver's seat of your life. Your rage, your fear, or your wisdom. Calm is not weakness. It's not passiveness. It's not letting people walk over you. Calm is clarity. Calm is the highest form of strength when the world is trying to pull you into the storm. You see, the real test of your character isn't how you act when everything is going your way. It's how you hold yourself when everything's falling apart. Will you become the storm or will you become the eye of it? Your first reaction might want to scream, slam doors, walk away, or fight. But your trained mind, your wise mind, it will whisper, wait, breathe, think. That whisper, that's power. That's maturity. That's you choosing to rise above. And it's not easy. I'm not here to sell you some fantasy where you feel calm every day. No, some days the weight on your shoulders will feel unbearable. Some days the words spoken to you will cut deeper than any blade. But those are the days that matter the most. Because every time you resist the urge to explode, every time you hold back when your emotions want to take over, you're building a stronger version of yourself. You're not running from your feelings, you're mastering them. You're not denying your fire, you're learning to aim it. That's the difference between someone who reacts and someone who leads. You see, mastery doesn't happen when things are easy. It's born in the hard places. In the difficult conversations, in the disappointments, in the moments when someone pushes your buttons and expects you to break. But instead, you look them in the eyes with stillness, and you let your silence speak louder than your rage ever could. You learn to say, I see what's happening here, and I'm not going to give it my energy. That's when you stop being a victim of your emotions and start becoming a master of your peace. And the world will notice. They always do. Because real strength doesn't need to shout. And let me tell you this, people will test your growth. The more you learn to control your reaction, the more others will try to provoke it, not because they're evil, but because they haven't yet found the calm within themselves. And misery loves company. Don't be the company. Be the contrast. Be the one who remains still when everyone else is spiraling. Be the one who speaks last, not loudest. Because when your peace becomes unshakable, you become untouchable. And not in a prideful way, but in a powerful way. You walk through fire without letting it consume you. You hear the insults, but they don't enter your soul. That's strength. That's mastery. Now, this takes practice. You can't master the mind in one day. You have to train it like a muscle. Every situation that tests your patience is a rep. Every time you want to lose control but choose not to, that's a set. And eventually your mental strength becomes automatic. Not because you've turned cold, but because you've become wise. You understand that your peace is too valuable to be sacrificed for a moment of satisfaction. You understand that not everything deserves a response, that silence sometimes is louder than shouting. And your discipline, that becomes your freedom. You're no longer reacting to life. You're responding with purpose. Don't misunderstand me. This isn't about suppressing your emotions. No, your emotions are valid, real, and human. But they are not your master. They are messengers. They tell you what's happening inside, but they shouldn't decide what happens next. You can feel the pain without throwing it at someone else. You can feel the anger without letting it poison your peace. That's emotional maturity. That's knowing that what you feel doesn't have to become what you do. That's choosing your future over your frustration. That's recognizing that staying calm is not just about today, it's about who you're becoming tomorrow. And listen, nobody else is going to do this work for you. The world won't hand you peace. It won't hand you patience. It won't hand you clarity. You've got to build those things brick by brick, moment by moment. Every time something goes wrong and you breathe instead of breaking, you lay another brick. Every time you choose pause over panic, stillness over screaming, you're building your fortress. And that fortress, that's what protects your peace when the storms come. Not because the storm stops, but because you're no longer letting the storm decide your direction. You are. You're at the wheel now. And let's be real. There are going to be moments when you slip. You'll react too fast. You'll say something you regret. You'll let that first wave crash through you. That's okay. This isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. Catch it quicker next time. Reflect, apologize if you need to, reset, and try again. Growth doesn't happen in straight lines. It happens in cycles. But if you're intentional, if you're committed, you will notice it. You'll see it in the way you respond differently, in the way you breathe deeper, in the way you walk away from the nonsense instead of engaging with it. That's the reward. That's the strength you've earned. And the beauty of it all, when you master that first reaction, people will feel it. They'll respect it. They'll look at you differently, not because you raised your voice, but because you didn't need to. Not because you forced them to hear you, but because your energy spoke for itself. Calm is contagious. Strength is silent. Mastering your emotions doesn't just change your life, it changes the lives of everyone around you. You become the calm in their storm, the lighthouse in their darkness, the example they never had. And that is a legacy worth building. There comes a time in every person's life when the heart is too heavy and the soul starts to ache, not because you're weak, but because you've been carrying what was never yours to carry. You've poured yourself into people who never brought you peace, tied your emotions to outcomes you can't control, and confused attachment with love. But let me tell you this from a place of truth. Emotional detachment is not abandonment. It's alignment. It's not you giving up on people. It's you giving yourself back to God. You've got to learn to step back without shutting down, to love without losing yourself, and to walk away from the chaos without walking away from your calling. There is a powerful kind of strength that comes from loving deeply but not drowning silently. And that strength begins the moment you say, I can care, but I don't have to carry. We've been taught that if we don't feel everything with intensity, we're cold. That if we don't cry over what's broken, we never really loved. But sometimes the loudest love is the one that lets go, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. You can detach from the noise and still stay rooted in purpose. You can walk through grief, betrayal, disappointment, and still keep your spirit aligned with something higher. You're not less of a person because you stop explaining yourself. You're not unkind because you protect your energy. You're not heartless because you stop letting emotional manipulation run your life. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. That's you realizing that love is not supposed to suffocate you, it's supposed to expand you. And when it doesn't, when your soul starts shrinking in the name of connection, you've got every right to take a step back without shame. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling, it means you stop clinging, and there's a difference. Clinging is fear-driven. It's rooted in the belief that if you let go, you'll lose something you can't survive without. But detachment is faith. It's trusting that if it's meant for you, it will stay. And if it's not, no amount of holding on will make it right. You can pray for someone, cheer for them, wish them peace, and still close the door they keep slamming in your face. That's not disconnection. That's discernment. That's honoring your spirit while still honoring theirs. That's understanding that sometimes God separates you not to punish anyone, but to preserve your purpose. And you don't need to feel guilty for that. You just need to feel grounded. You ever feel like you're the one always holding everything together, the emotional glue in your relationships? The one who listens, fixes, forgives, absorbs? And in return, your own pain goes unnoticed. Your silence becomes assumed. Your sacrifices become expected. Let me be honest with you. It's not your job to bleed so others can heal. It's not your responsibility to carry everyone's burden while your own soul starves. There's a point where love turns into self-abandonment, and when that point comes, detachment isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's the moment you stop asking for permission to protect your peace. It's the moment your boundaries stop being negotiable, because you realize you can't keep feeding others from an empty plate and calling it love. Your spirit knows what your emotions try to ignore. That's why there's always a quiet whisper in your soul when something isn't right. When your heart is too entangled in situations that don't serve your growth, your spirit starts sending signals, uneasiness, fatigue, distance, but we override them. We tell ourselves to be strong, to hold on, to keep giving, yet deep inside your soul is crying for release. That's when you've got to pause and ask yourself, am I operating from love or from fear of losing love? Because real love, divine love, doesn't require you to break to prove it. It requires presence, not pain. And if being present means protecting your heart while staying spiritually aligned, that's not weakness, that's wisdom. You can walk away without hate. You can detach without bitterness. You can set someone free without wishing them harm. That's what emotional maturity looks like. That's what spiritual alignment feels like. You stop reacting to what they did and you start responding to what God is revealing. Some people are lessons, not lifelines. Some situations are assignments, not permanent placements. And your peace doesn't depend on how others treat you. It depends on how you treat yourself. When you finally learn to love yourself with the same depth you gave others, everything shifts. You no longer beg for clarity. You no longer chase closure. You no longer sacrifice your spirit for temporary attention. You become whole in your own right. Some of the hardest moments in life are when you realize you've outgrown people emotionally, but you still care for them spiritually. You want to stay close, but not at the cost of your peace. You want to be there, but not if it means losing yourself. That's where detachment is necessary. You start showing up in a different way, more silent, more grounded, more selective. You can be in the room and not absorb the tension. You can hear the drama, but not be drawn into it. You can offer compassion without compromising your clarity. And that quiet strength, it speaks volumes. It's you saying, I can love you, but I won't lose me again. Let's be clear. This isn't about becoming numb. It's about becoming anchored. Anchored in truth, anchored in self-respect, anchored in spirit. The emotions still come, but they don't control you anymore. The old triggers may still knock, but you no longer answer the door. Why? Because you've trained your heart to pause. You've trained your mind to listen. You've trained your soul to lead. Detachment is not about turning off your heart. It's about tuning in to your higher self, the self that doesn't need validation, the self that isn't afraid of solitude, the self that trusts God's timing even when it breaks your heart. And there's going to be grief. Don't let anybody lie to you. Detaching from what once meant everything to you hurts. It's a silent kind of heartbreak. You'll miss them. You'll question yourself. You'll wrestle with doubt, but through it all, something sacred happens. You grow. You begin to see with new eyes. You realize your worth was never tied to how much you could give or endure. You realize peace is more valuable than proximity. You realize that choosing yourself isn't a betrayal, it's a blessing. And that's the shift. That's where healing begins. In the quiet, in the letting go, in the becoming. And the more you walk in this clarity, the more your spirit shines. You start attracting peace instead of pain. You start choosing stillness over chaos. And when people come into your life, you no longer ask, do they need me? You ask, does my spirit feel safe with them? Because now you know emotional connection without spiritual safety is a recipe for confusion. But when your spirit is anchored, you move differently. You speak with grace. You walk with purpose. You love without fear. And most importantly, you stay true to who God created you to be. Strong, grounded, free. Everybody wants peace until life snatches the comfort right out of their hands. They want calm when it's convenient, patience when things are easy, but the real test shows up when the heat is on, when pressure builds and the people around you start losing control. That's when your emotional strength speaks loudest. Not with words, but with presence. And let me tell you something real. Calm isn't something you're born with. It's something you train for. Just like lifting weights in the gym, you've got to put in the emotional reps. You don't become strong by avoiding the fire. You become strong by standing in it, focused, grounded, unshaken. Calm is not a gift you're given, it's a discipline you earn. There are days you'll wake up already behind, already overwhelmed, already on edge. The smallest inconvenience will feel like a mountain. A word said the wrong way can set off a storm inside you. That's where the training begins, not in the big battles, but in the small moments no one sees. It's in the decision not to snap when someone disrespects you. It's in the breath you take before reacting to bad news. It's in the choice to speak life when everything in you wants to throw fire. Emotional strength is not glamorous. It's quiet. It's practiced, and it's powerful. It's choosing maturity over meltdown, clarity over chaos. And that choice, repeated over and over, is how calm is built. We don't talk enough about how much emotional control is tied to discipline. Everybody wants emotional strength, but few are willing to be uncomfortable long enough to grow it. You think you'll rise under pressure, but you'll only rise to the level of your preparation. That means you've got to rehearse peace. You've got to build a habit of inner stillness before the storm comes. You have to make time to reset your nervous system, to slow your breathing, to speak affirmations into your soul. Because if you wait until you're drowning to learn how to swim, it's already too late. Calm must be your daily workout, your private routine, your secret edge, not for show, not for approval, but for survival. Life's going to test you with the same lesson over and over until you stop reacting and start responding. You'll meet the same type of people who push your buttons. You'll face the same kind of setbacks that challenge your growth. And each time you've got two choices: collapse or control. Emotional strength doesn't mean you don't feel. It means your feelings don't own you. You take that pain, that anger, that impulse, and you master it. You step outside yourself and say, I'm not going to let this moment define me. That right there is training. That's repetition. That's you becoming who you were always meant to be. Strong, steady, centered. Think about athletes. They don't just train when it's time for the game. They train every single day, rain or shine, because they know what's coming. Emotional warriors are no different. You have to rehearse patience when things are smooth, so when life shakes, your foundation holds. It's in the early morning journaling, the quiet evening reflection, the prayer whispered when no one's listening, the walk you take instead of yelling. These small practices are the weights you lift to grow calm. And it's not for anyone else. It's for you. So when betrayal hits, you don't break. When plans fall through, you don't spiral. When people throw chaos, you return peace. That's the fruit of training. There's a kind of calm that doesn't flinch when provoked. A kind that's not fake, not forced, but earned. It doesn't come from pretending nothing hurts you. It comes from understanding that not everything deserves a reaction. Not every insult needs a rebuttal. Not every crisis needs your panic. When you train for emotional strength, you learn to be slow to speak, quick to reflect. You recognize when something is pulling you out of alignment and you adjust before you explode. That's real maturity. That's spiritual muscle. That's the moment you stop being a slave to your surroundings and start walking in authority over your own energy. Some people think calm means passive. That couldn't be further from the truth. Calm is not weak, it's dangerous in the right hands. It's the kind of power that walks away from provocation with its head high. The kind of power that doesn't waste energy proving anything. When you train for calm, you gain clarity. You stop fighting battles that don't grow you. You stop chasing apologies that won't heal you. You stop defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. And that freedom, that's the reward. You're not calm because life's easy. You're calm because you've chosen your response before the storm even hit. You've rehearsed it, you've built it, you own it. Let me be clear. This training will cost you. It'll cost you pride. It'll cost you quick comebacks. It'll cost you the need to win every argument. You'll have to sit in rooms where your silence is misread. You'll have to walk away when your ego begs you to stay and fight. But that's the sacrifice. That's the process of becoming unshakable. It's lonely, it's painful, it's full of doubt, but it's also sacred. Every time you choose peace over power struggles, growth over drama, you're sculpting a version of yourself that's unstoppable. Calm doesn't mean you're emotionless, it means your emotions serve you. They don't lead you. We're living in a world that thrives on triggering you. Social media, news, gossip, noise. Everything is designed to pull you out of your center. So if you don't train daily, you'll be reacting constantly, scattered, worn out, frustrated. That's why you've got to be intentional. Meditation, prayer, stillness, gratitude. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities. You've got to put in the work when nobody's watching. So when the pressure comes, you don't collapse, and it will come. But now you're different. Now you're prepared. Now your calm isn't conditional, it's consistent. Because it's not tied to the weather. It's rooted in who you are. Emotional strength doesn't mean you always have it together. It means when you fall apart, you rebuild stronger. It means you cry, but you don't quit. It means you break, but you don't lose your identity. You get up, you train again, and you stay the course. Calm isn't about perfection. It's about resilience. Every hard day, every setback, every mistake, it all becomes training ground for the version of you that won't be moved by noise, fear, or failure. And over time, you begin to carry a peace that confuses people, a calm that can't be provoked, a fire that burns quietly. And that, right there, is your power. Earned, built, trained daily. When you truly begin to master your emotions, you realize it's not about suppressing how you feel. It's about elevating your response to life's chaos. You learn that the first reaction doesn't have to be the final response. You take a pause, you step back, and you let your mind breathe before you let the moment own you. That space, that pause becomes your superpower. You train yourself not to be consumed by emotion, but to rise above it with focus, with intention, and with grace. Because real power isn't in how loud you can yell, it's in how calm you can remain when the world is on fire around you. You learn to detach emotionally, not to become cold, not to shut yourself off, but to stay grounded while everything around you tries to shake your soul. You remain spiritually connected, deeply rooted in your purpose, your faith, and your values. People may come and go, storms may rise, but your peace is not up for negotiation. You stop handing over the keys to your emotions to people who haven't earned them. You stop explaining yourself to people who never really listened. And in that stillness, you grow into a version of yourself that can handle anything because your soul is anchored. Calm is no longer something you hope for. It becomes your daily discipline. You practice it like a craft. You build it like a muscle. And the more you train, the more unshakable you become. You don't just survive chaos. You move through it with clarity. You don't avoid conflict. You face it without losing yourself in it. And that is strength. Not the kind the world glamorizes, but the kind that holds power in silence, resilience in stillness, and wisdom in restraint. So wherever you are right now in your life, whether it's a storm, a silence, or a season of healing, remember this: peace is possible, strength is buildable, and calm is yours to claim. Day by day, moment by moment, you are not weak for feeling. You are powerful when you choose how to feel, when to feel it, and how to respond. Train your calm, master your emotions, and walk like someone who knows their spirit can't be shaken. Thank you for listening. Stay strong, stay grounded, and may God bless you on your journey.